Hello and welcome to java9s.com. I'm Srinivas. In this session we're going to discuss about the Java arrays. Java arrays are simple collection of similar data types, but they always have a definite limit to store the number of elements. It has got three stages to create the arrays and utilize them in the program. So the first one is the declaration phase, the second one is the construction phase, and the third one is the initialization phase. Coming to the declaration phase, the syntax to declare an array is something like this. First you need to define what is the type of an array. That means this array stores the integer data types, and this is the square braces with which you specify that the type what you are going to create is an array type, and the marks is just an reference variable which refers to the array object. So you can create different data types, arrays with different data types, like I have created integer array and byte array. Some of the people who are already familiar with C or C++ will be knowing the syntax pretty well, but this is said to be a less readable format in Java, and this is actually discouraged. This is said to be a more readable format because you can easily read this array type as an array of type byte referred by age. And then coming to the construction part, this is where the object will be created by the JVM. Please remember that every array is an object. So obviously we need to rely on new keyword to create an object. So we will be using new keyword to create the arrays also. And please remember that you need to specify the size of the array or length of the array here. So I have mentioned the length of the array here as 5. That means this array can only store 5 elements inside it. And you can also observe one more thing, that it is using the square brackets instead of the parentheses. Please remember that in creation of an array you use the square brackets, and you have to mention the size or length of an array during the construction phase. This part is the construction phase. In a single line you can write the declaration part, and also you can mention the construction part. So this array is having 5 elements totally. It can store 5 values inside it, which is referred by marks reference variable. Then coming to the initialization part, this is where we load all the values into the array. So let us see how we are going to load the values into an array. So based on the size, the indexes start from 0. So you can see that the indexes of an array start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Please remember that the last index is always going to be 1 less than the length you have mentioned. So because the indexes start from 0, obviously the last index will always be 1 less than the length. So by using the reference variable and by using the index, you can load the values into an array, and here 20 will be stored in the 0th index, 49 in the first index, 30 second one, 67 in the third index, and 35 in the fourth index. Please remember that if you try using the index which is not present inside an array, say if I start using 5, then it will throw an arrays index out of bounds exception. Even it is the same with the negative numbers, because the negative indexes will not be present in any array. So please remember that if you are trying to use an index which is actually not present in an array, then JVM will throw a runtime exception known as in arrays index out of bounds exception. So you need to check the program if you are trying to access with a value which is not present inside an array with an index. Then coming to the initialization for the objects, like arrays, earlier we have seen the arrays which are actually related to the primitive data types. Now please remember that arrays can also be used to store the object types. Here I have created a class pen type, and I have declared an array which can only store the pen objects. So I have created an array with of length 3, and I am assigning 3 new pen objects to each and every index of this pens array. So please remember that the 0th index will have the memory address to reach out to this pen object. So all these indexes will have the memory address to reach out these 3 objects. So with the arrays of object type, the indexes store the memory address to reach out those objects, whereas with the primitive data types, the index store the binary format of that number. Then coming to the array initializers, if you already know the values that an array is going to hold, you can finish the creation of array in one line using array initializers. These two are said to be array initializers, and with this you are directly giving the values into it. So with this, the length is going to be 4, and the indexes are 0, 1, 2, 3. So the array initializers can be used directly when you know the values, and you can change them during the runtime the program, while the program is running. Then coming to the two-dimensional array, here we have specified an array size of 2 here, and the next level is going to be array size 3. With a 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional or multi-dimensional array, please remember that the parent arrays, these are said to be parent arrays, which will have the references to the child arrays. Now the size of this parent array is 2. That means I have 2 indexes, where this one will hold the memory address to reach out this array, which is of size 3. So it has got 2 indices which can refer to 2 different arrays. Now because I have already mentioned 3 here, that means each index of this array is going to refer to an array of size 3 each. So here I have 2 arrays with size 3. So this is our 2-dimensional array, and always remember that the end values will be stored in the final array. That means these arrays are the ones which store the final values. So to fill the values, you need to use both the indices of the array. That means you need to navigate from the parent to child. That means you need to say that marks of 0 means it's 30 here, marks of 0 of 1 means 31, marks of 0 of 2 means it's 32, then marks of 1 of 0 is going to be 40, marks of 1 of 1 means it's going to be 41, marks of 1 of 2 is going to be 42. That's why you navigate to fill the values into a 2-dimensional or multi-dimensional array. You need to start from the parent and start flowing down to the child indices. Then coming to the 2-dimensional non-uniform, earlier we have already declared an parent and child array size directly during the construction phase, but this should have something like this here. So please remember that to use different sizes of an arrays at the child level, you need to leave this as a blank, and you need to mention that marks of 0 will have an array of size 3, whereas marks of 1 will have a array of size 4. So this is how you can go ahead to declare different arrays with the different lengths for a child level, but you need to remember that you need to leave this declaring the size of the child elements as blank, but declaring the size of the parent, at least one parent, is mandatory. The core parent is mandatory. Then coming to the multi-dimensional arrays, anything that is more than 2-dimensional is said to be a multi-dimensional array. As I have already told that these are the parents, and the final one is the one which actually hold the values. So I have in the first level I have an array which has a length of 2, which can hold 2 arrays with each of size 3. So I have each array of length 3, and finally each of these arrays with length 3 can hold an array of length 2. So you can see 1 2 3 4 5 6 totally. So totally the number of objects that are actually formed during execution of this statement is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Totally 9 objects are actually formed during the execution of this statement. So let us see a small example about how to execute the arrays and how to work. I have a small example here, 2's multiples. I'm trying to create an array which can hold the 2's multiples. Here I have mentioned the length of the array as 10, and I'm trying to iterate through each and every element of a number starting from 1. So I have created int I is equal to 0 to represent the index of my array, whereas j is just to represent the numbers. I'm going to check if they are multiples of 2 or not. So I'm checking if j modulus operator of 2 is equal to 0, then it is said to be a multiple of 2. So I'm just storing that number at an index I. So first I value will be 0, so 2's multiples of 0 is equal to some 0 2 or 4 or some kind of number will be coming and getting stored here. Please look at this. To get the length of an array, you have an attribute known as length. So when you ask with an array dot length, you will be getting the length, and I'm just mentioning it as I less than 0. You cannot give I is equal to 0 because the last value which is equal to length will not be present. That means if I give 10, the 10th index will not be present, is only the last index is going to be the 9. So I'm incrementing here I value, and I'm also incrementing j with the next value to check with the next number. And if it is not an multiple of 2, then I'm just incrementing to go ahead with the next number that way. And here I'm just using for each statement to iterate through each and every element of array and printing them. I'll just run this example. So you can see that all the 2's multiples which are stored in the array are getting printed here. And I have another example here which talks about the two-dimensional array demo, where I'm just trying to store the marks of a particular subject. So here I'm just getting a random number using math class, which gives a random number for me each and every time I execute this statement. So if I execute this, it is just going to print the marks in a particular subject. You can see that random numbers are coming here. So subject 1, subject 2, subject 3, something like that. So I have a two-dimensional array with the parent array having a length of 3 and the child array having a length of 6. So that's all for this session. You can download the example and PPT from www.java9s.com. Thank you.